United Nations Association Film Festival at Stanford
Perfect.
this month on October 26th as I jet off to Tokyo for the Tokyo International Film Festival. So
I think it's wonderful. Congratulations on all that's happened and you've
thank
achieved.
you. Thank you so much.
So I'm just going to try and ask some basic, simple questions, and I want you to kind of
Yeah.
fill in what you think is important, what you think is the good stuff.
Yeah. What's great is you've seen both movies, so
Yeah.
you're able to really
Yeah.
just start and I can just roll with it. So
Yeah.
very nice. And we're going out live, right?
Yeah.
So I'll make sure
Yeah.
not to do anything inappropriate.
So that would be exciting.
Yeah, it's.
I just did a tweet that we're going out live, so
Oh, cool.
hopefully that will drive some viewers.
So, did you see Arnell at all? I haven't seen him for a long time.
Arnell came to see The Power of Two, I think, the evening show. You were at the matinee.
Okay, yeah, I did
he
the
came, He
matinee.
came to the evening show, and with Barry, his partner.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think he's doing well. You know, he's mostly teaching aerobics now, you know, at the gym that he works at. So,
Wow.
which is why he's in such incredible shape. When you do see him, he's just completely like,
Good for him.
yeah. And how are you feeling? You feeling well?
Yeah, I had a car accident
Oh, goodness.
a week ago Saturday, and I'm still kind of like, it totaled my car.
Oh, my God. That's
but
crazy. Yeah.
it's been
Mhm.
bizarre. You know, and in July in Chicago, I fell and broke my hip. So between the two accidents, there's been, you know,
You got to be careful.
there's
yeah.
physiological changes going on, and it's hard to.
Sure.
I'm going to have cataract surgery the 27th of this month.
Mhm. We just did. We participated in a forum on HIV and aging with that. That 360 did UCF 360,
Yeah. Mhm.
and it was at Eureka Valley Rec Center, and it was a really good turnout for that event.
That's Malcolm John, right?
Yeah, Malcolm
Yeah,
John was
he's
the
quite a guy.
convener, and I know you've been featured on their website and stuff. We showed 2 of the HIV Story Project shorts, and then a PSA that we did for AIDS Legal Referral Panel, and it was just a good evening. It was just a good chance for different folks who
That's
don't
excellent.
necessarily, come together, and then we actually staged our storytelling booth at Under One Roof again for that week to take advantage of the PR and the timing,
great,
and
yeah.
we recorded another 70 stories for our website.
Holy
So
mackerel.
yeah.
I can't even remember if I ever did that. I think I did, but I'm not sure.
Okay, we're live.
The clock is ticking.
Are we going to take calls?
We can.
How fun.
We haven't. I don't think we have for a long time. Do you know how to see?
No, we don't have to. I was just mixing it up.
No, I think I remember how to do that.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Drag Show. I'm Stu Smith, your host, and with me tonight is our guest, Marc Smolowithz. Marc, I've had the pleasure of knowing for a while, both through Access SF and most importantly through some of his film work. I got to see 2 films by Marc this year, and most recently I saw The Power of Two in its premiere at the Castro Theater, and I know it's been premiering on the film festival circuit globally, and then earlier this year I got to see
Still around.
yeah. Another amazing film. So tell me, when did you get into filmmaking?
Well, I pretty much, got into filmmaking right out of college. I'm one of those people who pretty much knew what I wanted to do very early on in life. I think I always had sort of that theater arts background, like so many of us. And, first quarter, first year of college, I took a class called the Film Experience, and I was completely hooked. And, so I had that sort of formal education as an undergraduate in film. Production, theory, criticism, with a real emphasis on different film genres and knowing a lot about different directors and writing. And then when I came to San Francisco at a very early age, I just started working with a lot of our amazing documentary filmmakers here in San Francisco and many of the local film festivals. And in my 20s, I worked at the San Francisco International Film Festival for 3 years in the programming department as a young film programmer. And after that, I sort of segued into having my own company for a number of years. I had that company from 1995 to about 2001. It was called Turbulent Arts, and it was a film production, distribution, and sales company.
Wow.
And it focused on independent films, both documentary and features, and out of that company, I produced two films you probably have heard of or seen, The Weather Underground and Trembling Before God. I was involved in a lot of different films in many roles over that 5-6 year period. But those are the two that I actually came out with a producer credit, and very proud to have seen those films do very, very well. And then I sort of took a break for a few years. Like so many people, I had to find myself in my 30s, and I think I did. And for a while, I actually worked in the tech sector. Remember when I left Access
That's
SF,
right.
I took a job at a company called Teletopia, and that was an amazing opportunity for many reasons, because it sort of accelerated all of my new media skills, and it really brought me into the 21st century. I've had one of those careers that moved from like analog to digital. When I was in film school as an undergraduate, we were still negative cutting 16 millimeter and sending off for our answer prints and blindly loading film in the magazine, hoping that we wouldn't make mistakes. And now I produce everything, in a full HD environment, and it's a very robust and exciting time, because I think the tools for production have really become much more accessible, much more usable, much more nimble for filmmakers. Anyway, so the short version is, after Teletopia kind of went, down the drain because of the economic downturn in late '08, I decided to land in filmmaking again, because I felt ready and excited to do that. And the two films we're talking about tonight, The Power of Two and Still Around, are a direct result of the last 2.5 years of my work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So two very different stories, or two different projects.
Right.
HIV being the focus, I think, of one, and amazingly and interestingly to me, The Power of Two. I don't know what I thought I was going to see, but it was entirely different, and I don't think I've cried in a documentary film in a long time. It was incredibly powerful, incredibly well done.
Thank you.
From the script, the editing, the story, everything about it was just amazing.
Thank you so much.
These are really factual opinions, in my opinion, because I talked with lots of people after the show, after that film, that day, at the Castro Theater, which is the ideal place for a premiere of anybody who's connected to San Francisco.
Right.
But I mean, how did you connect with The Power of Two? I know you've talked about it.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share that story. So during the period of like 2005 to 2008, I got very involved in an amazing organization here in San Francisco called Full Circle Fund. And we may have talked about this before, but Full Circle Fund is an engaged philanthropy organization, and its mission is to cultivate the next generation of community leaders, of philanthropists, and of people who are basically going to take the reins of social change in the Bay Area for the next generation. I got involved because my whole career I've been fundraising, whether it was for films or for nonprofits, and I was tired of that. I wanted to help nonprofits and be a grant maker. So I was drawn to Full Circle Fund because it's a funder, and I wanted to experience that that part of the process, what it was like to give grants. And Full Circle Fund is an amazing organization because not only does it give the money, it also assigns nonprofits with a team, and you work very hard, and you have real measurable deliverables. So through the process of being involved in Full Circle Fund, I scaled up quickly to become the chair of the technology fund, and I got to know everyone in that community. And I got to know a guy called Andrew Burns. And Andrew is an amazing guy who lives in San Mateo County, had been very involved in the tech sector as a lawyer, and we became friends. And sometimes it's funny in life and in work, you don't know a lot about people's private lives, you just know their public life, right? And Andrew is very accomplished. He was the chair of the Democratic Party in San Mateo County for many years. And we worked on a couple of projects at Full Circle Fund together. And really quite unsolicited, in the spring of '09, I get an email from him saying, "Hey, Mark, I know you're a film producer, and I wanted to get some advice because my wife and sister-in-law, who are Issa and Anna, have this story, and they have written a book called The Power of Two, A Twin Triumph Over Cystic Fibrosis." And it gets sort of convoluted from there, but the idea was that the twins book had been acquired by a Japanese publisher, and it was going to be re-released in Japan. And the reason why that was interesting was that they were invited for a book tour, and the film is about their experience with cystic fibrosis and organ donation, and their kind of emergence as global advocates for organ donation. And in Japan, much to people's surprise in America, organ donation and transplant is still quite rare and controversial.
I was shocked.
Yeah. So when I heard this, I said, well, I joked. I said, well, he asked me, would I know anyone in Tokyo who would help film the twins' speeches around Japan? And I said, well, I want to go to Tokyo, and I want to film the twins' speeches in Japan. And so we decided to meet, and I read the book, and I fell in love with Anna and Isa by way of their book.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met them, and I fell in love with them even more.
Yeah.
And the four of us sat around a sushi lunch, how appropriately, a sushi lunch, and we decided that we were going to make this trip to Japan happen, and that we were going to do it right, with high production values, a real crew, and we did it. And that was sort of how we jump-started this effort to make a feature documentary happen. We went to Japan in October of 2009. We shot for 26 days in 14 cities. It was an amazing experience. Sometimes when you're on location as a documentary filmmaker, you don't even realize, or you're kind of realizing as it unfolds in real time, the incredible things that are happening right in front of you on camera.
Yeah.
And what I came to understand as I was there was that I was actually having the good fortune to record this nation at a tipping point around a very critical public health concern. So just before we had come to Japan, there had been a substantial change in the law around organ transplants. So the filming there became not just about getting to know why the Japanese are still so, there's such a reluctancy around organ donation, but really to kind of document that change, that amazing change. So we had events with transplant advocates on the ground in many cities, and it was sort of this dynamic of, who's energizing who. Like, Anna and Isa come as advocates, and there's all these speeches, and we're meeting with the community, and there's these events and celebrations, and it just was remarkable things happened. And so I was convinced that we had shot amazing content. In the end, was 90 hours of footage just from Japan. And then when we came back, I decided that really what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring portions of the twins' memoir, their English language memoir, to the screen and kind of wrap it around this international story, comparing the U.S. and Japan. Very personal film, but layering it with, high-level experts, people explaining, sort of the who, what, where, when, why, and how around organ donation. And, by way of the twins, we and their friends and patients around them and their doctors and more experts, we really learn a ton about this topic, in The Power of Two, and it's a topic that I feel is very relevant to the mainstream. Even though the twins are half Japanese and the film takes place in, 1/3 of it in Japan, and sometimes when I describe my movie, people kind of roll their eyes like, well, that sounds very unique and specialized, and I think, what I set out to do was to tell this really seemingly very niche story in a way that was really broad and accessible, because I believe so strongly that any individual, any family, any community could be hit by an acute or chronic illness, whereby a transplant would be the only solution. So,
I think you succeeded, because it much more than a story about the two principles. It's really, there's the cultural element, which fascinated me a lot by itself. And then cystic fibrosis. I knew nothing about cystic fibrosis. And then what transplant means in so many different ways to so many different groups. It's an amazing dynamic film. It brings a lot of information in an incredibly human, sensitive, passionate way. And I was blown away.
Yeah,
I just didn't expect it, which makes it very exciting. So let's talk about the other film while we're here.
Sure. So the other film is called Still Around. And Still Around is a product of a nonprofit that I co-founded with my friend and colleague York Fokola. So back in 2009, we were approached by Shanti, which is an organization we both know and love, and you're very involved with Shanti. And people from the LIFE program came to us and said, we need some help with online video content, web storytelling, that kind of inquiry. And, York and I started brainstorming, and I think we found, that there might be more of an opportunity, to do something about HIV and AIDS, that wasn't just about creating web content for, the one-off nonprofit. When I was looking at what was going on, we saw so much around, AIDS fatigue, and just the number of films and videos of quality, high production value about HIV and AIDS had markedly diminished in the last decade or so. And I was sort of, concerned about that. And I was mindful that in 2011, where we are now, would be the 30th anniversary of HIV and AIDS, or the unofficial 30th anniversary of HIV and AIDS. And I knew that organizations, that funders, that everyone involved in the HIV/AIDS landscape would need content. So we came back to Shanti and we said we want to do something much more ambitious. We want to actually endeavor to produce a short film compilation that would be feature length in scope, and around that idea we formed our own nonprofit called the HIV Story Project. And the HIV Story Project does a number of things. Outside of producing Still Around, which was one of our major initiatives, we also provide media services and training to HIV/AIDS nonprofits here in the Bay Area and beyond. We've done workshops at Shanti, Stop AIDS Project, many other organizations. We've also produced video content for organizations like Bay Positives and AIDS Legal Referral Panel and others. We've done a class at Stanford University. So we're really, very quickly we're sort of working with these nonprofits because, much like we talked about before, in the context of this economic downturn, organizations working on public health issues have the hardest time kind of shoring up their budget line items for media and marketing and messaging. Those are the first things that get cut, right, in tough times in the economy.
If you even have them to start with.
Right.
Yeah.
So our vision for the HIV Story Project was, let's be the media services arm of the HIV/AIDS nonprofit space. Let's provide below market, affordable, but high production value media services, both training and production, to these nonprofits. And very quickly we were talking with everyone because everyone has media needs. We would go in, we would do an assessment and help. And then a natural outgrowth of that relationship network was Still Around. So the way Still Around got produced was we would take a filmmaker, a Bay Area filmmaker, and match them with a story that came out of a nonprofit. So Shanti helped us recruit Stop AIDS Project, API Wellness, World, Pause. Many of the nonprofits that are doing incredible work here on HIV and AIDS were our partners in recruiting stories. And what started as, like some 50 plus stories, we whittled that down to 15 beautiful stories. And myself and Jorg executive produced this compilation. I directed one of them, he directed one of them. Many, very talented, both emerging and established filmmakers directed short films. They each run about 3 to 6 minutes. The entire running time is 82 minutes. And we did premiere here at Frameline back in June. We had a wonderfully successful San Francisco premiere. We are on the LGBT Film Festival circuit with that film. We have a distributor for that film. The company distributing the film is called Outcast Films, based in New York City. And what's great about being with Outcast is that she specializes in LGBT, HIV and AIDS, and social justice distribution.
Wow.
So she has all the mailing lists, all the partnerships, all the organizations that she's worked with, and she has a nice, viable catalog of films about HIV and AIDS. So we've really met the right partner in that company. And we will be coming back to San Francisco on World AIDS Day to screen Still Around at the Roxy Cinema.
Roxy Cinema, World AIDS Day, December 1st.
Exactly.
2011. Amazing. And you're also going to be back with Power of Two, I believe.
Yes, right. So the Power of Two, the reason why this live show has such good timing is I want to let your viewers know that the Power of Two will be screening at the United Nations Association Film Festival, which is it's both in Stanford and San Francisco in later this month in October. But we're screening actually at Stanford Medical School on the evening of Wednesday, October 26th. And Anna Stenzel, one of the twins, will be there along with some other special guests. I unfortunately will not be there because I have the amazing opportunity to go back to Japan. My film is screening at the Tokyo International Film Festival for its international premiere. So the international premiere is the first screening, outside of the country of chief country of production. So the fact that we are, being invited back to Japan to premiere our film 2 years later to the month that we started production is just such a vote of confidence from the Japanese. You can't, it doesn't get better than that. You've seen the film, that it takes a very fair but kind of, challenging look at the situation in Japan, and so the fact that they want to bring it over and give it such a, a high level launch for us is amazing. The other thing that goes on at the Tokyo Film Festival is a market called TIFCOM. So all the buyers and sellers of film and television product will be there, and we'll be showing the film at a market screening with the hope of selling it to Japanese television, and there will be buyers from Korea and China and India and other Asian countries. So yeah, I'm really excited. I get to
Congratulations! What a string of hits you're putting together.
Yeah, it's been a good few years. I mean, it's been a lot of hard work. I think the thing that I've been so encouraged by these last couple of years is that even in these really tough economic times, when you are doing really important projects and you wrap those projects around with the right infrastructure and the right partnerships, that you can command funding. It's not like the money just came pouring in. It took a lot of very talented people, to sort of unleash our capacity. But I think that that's one of the things that I try to focus on, is building that capacity around my projects. So, and I also believe strongly in not having my irons all in one fire.
Mm-hmm.
If The Power of Two were my only thing, or Still Around were my only thing, what if one of them didn't go? So typically, my mindset is to try to develop two substantial projects concurrently, so I can sort of work on both. And the magic that happened on both was that the timing of the production cycles and the post-production efforts and the completion efforts and the festival timing for both just really worked beautifully. So I'm very, very grateful. Many long nights getting both movies done.
I can imagine.
But I'm very fortunate. I mean, on both projects, I got to work with very talented people. And the thing that I really enjoyed about Still Around that was different from The Power of Two was my film in every way, right? I mean, my film plus all the amazing people who worked with me on it. But I'm the director and the producer of that film, and the buck stops with me in that sense. Still Around was a collaboration in every way. 15 directors, 16 directors actually, 15 protagonists coming together to tell those stories. Short filmmaking is a wonderfully exciting way to get things done. And the way that we produced a lot of those shorts was kind of in these sprints. We would get some funding and do 3 or 4 of them over over a 10-day period or some amount of time. We worked a lot with the same director of photography. We brought in a lot of the same people to crew over and over again on these shorts. But each film is beautifully different from the other because each one had a different filmmaker involved.
That's another magnificent piece of work too. I think you brought us a couple of graphics that we might be able to take a look at, and I'll let you, when we pull them up,
we can talk about it.
Description, yeah.
Right on.
So let me know also, you must have a website.
Sure. So The Power of Two is thepoweroftwomovie.com. Okay, thepoweroftwomovie.com. And for more information about Still Around, people can go to the HIVstoryproject.org.
HIVstoryproject.org.
Yeah. And so I'm not sure what we've got up here, but are we pulling graphics up? Looks like I'm live. So there we go. So that's the Power of Two logo. Very, very impressive. But basically, that's the title of the film, and then below that is the Power of Two in Japanese. And this is a picture of the twins. So the twins are Annabelle and Isabel, and on the left is Anna, and on the right is Isa. And as you can see, they're quite beautiful, and they're smiling there. That was a photo that was taken at the Donate Life Hollywood Film Festival. We actually shot there in June of 2010. This is an event that tries to create more awareness of organ donation in Hollywood. So there actually is an organization in Hollywood called Donate Life Hollywood that works to educate and empower writers, directors, and producers to tell more accurate stories about organ donation. There are so many myths and misconceptions about organ donation. So, for example, there was a really important storyline on Grey's Anatomy a couple years ago, right? Which is a hugely popular show, and they were getting it wrong. I mean, it was a serial kind of story ongoing, and they stepped in and helped the writers try to be more accurate around how they were handling the topic, because a lot of people have misconceptions. So this is a fun photo. So we had our world premiere in a showcase called Donkey Weeks, And DocuWeeks was an amazing opportunity for my film because it actually qualified the film for the Academy Awards this year. So,
Congratulations.
Thank you. So the way this works is you screen for a full week in Los Angeles and a full week in New York at commercial cinemas. You actually have to deliver your film on either 35 millimeter or what's called DCP, the digital cinema package. Our DCP is beautiful. That's what you saw at the Castro. It came out beautiful. And on the far left, you actually see Tanya Hayden and Jack Black. So that's Jack Black, the very famous actor. Jack is a real supporter of The Power of Two. He and his wife have donated money. They've also helped us with fundraising events in Los Angeles. It turns out that Tanya grew up with the twins in Los Angeles. They all went to elementary school together, and she has a real affinity for them. She's so happy they're doing well. In the middle, in the middle is Andrew Burns, who's my producing partner, and also Issa's husband, and then Issa, and then myself. And then on the far right is a former San Franciscan, a very wonderful man, Michael Lumpkin, who was the director of Frameline for many, many years and is now the executive director of the International Documentary Association out of Los Angeles.
Well, as we're running out of time, I want to thank you first, but let's go over a few more things.
Sure, we can scroll through those photos while we're talking.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
And so we've got the World AIDS Day will be
still around at the Roxy.
The Roxy Theater.
Exactly.
That's December 1st of this year. And then you're going to have the Power of Two will be in the Tokyo International Film Festival that you get to attend.
And screening locally at the United Nations Association Film Festival.
At both Stanford and San Francisco, but it'll be at Stanford Hospital, I think?
Yeah, Stanford Medical School.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess I'll tell people that both the Power of Two and the HIV Story Project have Facebook presence and Twitter presence, so you can find us on both and follow us. Check out our websites and, really sort of, follow our story, and and any chance you can see these films, I encourage you to come check them out. We have trailers online.
Worth checking out. What's coming next?
What's coming next? So as I've said before, I like to have two projects in the coffer that I'm developing. The first one is a film about the child welfare system in America. So it hopes to be a very comprehensive look at our child welfare system, and the second one is tentatively called The Delegates, and we'll actually look at the process whereby people become delegates for the 2012 presidential election.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you, Stu.
I am going to see both films again myself, and I look forward to the stuff that you're going to be doing in the future. Thank you very much.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we get off air on time?
No, probably not, but with the CD will be okay.
Okay, no worries.
That goes online.
Gotcha.
That stream.
You can just chop off. Me walking in front of the camera.
Right on. Well, thank you, Phil, and what's your name again?
Emily.
Thank you, Emily.
Yes, thanks a lot, Emily.
Good stuff. All right, well, that was great.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
It was fun. So how are you guys? Are you guys publishing these to the web as well nowadays, or?
You can do that now. It was down for a minute, but now archive.org is back up with payback to just run the whole show.
Oh yeah, because what I can do is push it out over our social media channels.
Right,
and,
right.
That's
I'm not sure
good.
what you put on YouTube. Or?
It's on YouTube, and then we have a website called thedragshow.org.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
a lot of them are on YouTube. I don't even know where.
Got it.
But I want to learn how to put them on the